Broadcasting from the ECHS studios, welcome to Charter School Radio with your host, Coach Dennis Snyder.
I apologize. I think I was a little off mic there in that first segment there. Hopefully you could pick up enough to know what's going on here, and we'll recap here just to bring you up to date. But if you want to get in touch with us, please feel free to email me at echs.org. That's echs.org. I'd love to hear from you if you got any ideas, you got any comments, or you have some ideas for the show, somebody you would like me to have on, or a topic you would like me to cover. Please feel free to get in touch with me. And you can also go to Dennis Coach Snyder, and you can also see a replay of this. We video record them and we put them up on our Marshall, where are we putting these things anyhow?
On the mediums of Facebook and YouTube.
Very good. All right. That's Marshall Davis. He's our student intern here running the in-house part of our studio. And then back in the studio we have Dick, who is a producer of the show, keeping things going. Again, this is a program where we try to, where great minds discuss ideas. We want to inform you. We want to keep you up to date what's happening in the charter school and the school choice movement, and answer any questions you may have. But I want to get back to our guests, because it's very interesting how this works, and I want to make sure that I understand it, and that anybody listening can understand exactly how the program works. And before we went to break, again, we have John Fox, who is the Director of Sales for Advanced Placement Capital, and we have George Butts. He's the District Sales Manager for Advanced Placement Capital. They've been around for about a year now, and primarily dealing right now with charter schools. Who knows, in the future they may be dealing with other school districts too, but we'll see about that. But we were just picking up on how it works, we were talking about, just so that our audience knows the way it works for funding. The local districts collect property taxes, and then that's how they use that money to run their schools. Then the state, they come up with a formula of how much money you get per student. And then what you don't collect in property taxes, we the taxpayers send the money to Sacramento, in our case here in California. They in return send them back to the districts. After, I don't know what they do with all the different money they take, but obviously they take a lot of it off the top for their bureaucracy. But then they send a certain amount. So let's just use the example so people can follow this. Let's just say they come up with a formula that you're going to get $5,000 per student. So let's just say the local districts collects $2,500 of that in property taxes. The state will make up that difference, that $2,500. The only difference is they don't send you that $2,500 per student up front. They parcel it out over the course of the 12 months. 6% here, 5% there, 10% here, 8% there, 12%. At least that's the way it used to be. But now with the deferrals, because of the budget situation, there are some months where they don't send you any money from the state at all.
That's right.
So they defer that money 2 or 3 months out, sometimes into the next budget year. And so now, getting back to how this works, so you work with the charter school, the local, whoever the charter schools you're dealing with, and let's walk through then how you send them that money on a monthly basis, right?
We can send them money on a monthly basis or just on a spot need basis. Also, we'd be happy to look at a 1-year or longer positioning, or just a spot receivable.
Versus on,
position.
like say they can anticipate, holy cow, it looks like this next coming month, we thought we were in good shape, but all of a sudden we realized we had extra expenses, something went wrong, I had to put in an air conditioner or whatever it was. It looks like I'm going to need some money for this next month coming up. Does it work that way also?
Yes, we can provide that money also. And what we're looking at is charter schools have restricted access to a variety of funds.
Right.
From a banking perspective, the income and expense statement and the rest of the financial statement, the balance sheet, do not meet the regular standards of banking. And so we don't require that any of the charter schools meet any banking regulatory requirements related to cash flows or net worth. So what we're simply looking at is the state obligation to the county, who pays it to the district, who pays it to the school. We'll look at that process, and we will advance funds to the school on the basis of them giving us the right to collect the money from the county when it comes back through the system.
I see. Now, so the county, you're counting on the county, and the county's aware of this, that rather than sending them money when it does come back to the school, they're actually sending it to you?
Yes.
That's how it works. Interesting. And the county's all right with that, and so far that's...
Yeah, sometimes they send it right to the school and they send it back to us.
But as long as you get it.
Yes.
But obviously, there's obviously, because you're a business, which is I'm all for. I love the entrepreneurial spirit. There's got to be a fee attached to that. But wouldn't you also have to look at the charter school a little bit to make sure that they can afford that extra fee? That, you know, because obviously there's some paperwork involved. There's your time and efforts involved, and you're obviously in a business to make money too. So how do you look at that when you said you don't? Because most of the loans that people get, like you said, to a regular bank, they're going to look at your assets, they're going to look at your overall health of your organization to make sure that you can pay that loan back. So what are you looking for?
We're looking for a charter school with a valid charter, in good standing both with the state corporate operations and with the authorizer generally at the district level.
And they've been around a while, they've shown a track record.
They have a track record. And there are certainly many occasions where we can look at a new startup school also.
Based on their numbers and...
Based upon the attendance numbers. Because the bottom line is the primary money that goes to the schools is based upon daily attendance.
Yeah. And that, and again, for our listening audience, I take it for granted everybody understands it, but all schools are funded on a per pupil basis, and it's called average daily attendance. In other words, if the student shows up, the school gets paid. If the student doesn't show up and they're absent, they can't collect money for that student because obviously they're not teaching the student. The student wasn't there. So it's based on the average daily attendance, and they kind of project this. They have 2 different times throughout the school year that they make adjustments. In our situation, it's called principal apportionment 1, and it's also principal apportionment 2. Principal apportionment 1 usually around, I think that happens in December, and then they kind of project, April, and then they project what you think your enrollment's going to be for the next school year, and then based on, or your average daily attendance going to be, and so they fund you starting July 1 based on that. Then they make adjustments around December. You have to submit those numbers now because, again, you could have taken on more students, or you could have lost students. So they're going to pay you, make up the difference starting in usually January or February in the past, but I think even those are being deferred. But that's how it kind of works. I know it's a little complicated. One of these days, like I said in the opening, sometime there's got to be they've got to take a look at how they fund schools. I like the model where you just give $10,000 to students and that's it. And then you give it to private schools, public schools, voucher schools, whatever it is, and let them compete. And the ones that do the best job, there's all these extra funds that come in based on some senator or some assemblyman putting legislation on his name so that he can get credit for it. You just get $10,000 and you get the job done. And they send it to you on a certain percent each month, a normal amount each month over the course of the year. But that's my ideal situation, but I know that's not going to happen here anytime soon. So anyhow, so getting back to the scenario, so that you intercept, you either pay, the school pays you directly or the county's going to pay you back that money.
That is correct. Right now the schools are on what's called an advance apportionment.
Correct.
Through December. And then adjustments will be made thereafter. The bottom line is that a school with an increasing enrollment is always behind on their cash flow.
Yep.
And then you add state legislated deferments to that, and you increase the pressure on the schools in terms of the cash flows needed. Also, when you have an enrollment of 400, but your ADA or your average daily attendance might be 333 because of absenteeism and such, that really puts a kink in the cash flow of the school because you've staffed up for 400 enrollees,
exactly,
but you're only having an ADA of 330 some.
Plus you have to have the desk, you have to have books, and you have to have the supplies, and if the student's not there, you've already put that expenditure out there.
That's right. And so the deferral of apportionments, or the money from the state that eventually gets to the school, is a very, very serious issue. And because of the chaos within the entire system, it's very difficult to make accurate forecasts for an entire year. For example, during this fiscal year in the state of California, we're going to have some kind of an adjustment, it looks like, at mid-year in that December to January time related to the state budget itself. Right. And therefore, it's very difficult to make a prediction of the cash flows that will actually exist for a specific school. So we want to remain flexible in our approach and be ready for the changes that come about, and also take a real hard look.
1 minute.
Take a real hard look at what the schools need right now and help them fulfill that need right at this moment.
Yeah, and again, the big thing, all school budgets, whether it's charter schools or district school, it's really a guesstimate, because you have no idea how many kids are going to show up. You have no idea as the year goes on if more kids are going to show up, and you got to now plan for them, or if more kids are moving away, those type of things. So all school budgets are flowing and changing. But again, on the charter school situation, because we don't have as much flexibility, we can't do like a lot of district schools do, where they can go to the county and borrow money and to get them through those tough times. We as charter schools, at least in California, and also I guess there's some areas where they can do what they call a transaction with the county, where they'll give them some money based on a certain percent to pay back and stuff like that.